show. Brian Kellison, Brian White, Lisa Vries, special guest, friend of the show, Tom Thrall, Canadian national competitor in the World Championships. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, that's it. Just a head nod. This is an audio show. You can kind of say acknowledge. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back and excited to chat with you guys tonight.
Yeah. This is a more casual thing with Tom instead of like the official. We're going to interview him about his experience, but we want him to be a part of the show and sort of like chime in and have his opinions and give Brian White a hard time like we all do about his escapades, his ice cream. I'll share something. Just I did the Kiss 100, 10 o'clock Pacific.
That's super late last night.
Yeah, it was super late. I finished.
You were on when
I
started. When I got ready this morning, you were finishing up.
Yeah. We're not supposed to speak about the thing we were not supposed to speak about, but it was not the driving factor to get me in there. But I did move up in the thing I'm not supposed to talk about. But the main reason was to just kickstart me into kind of getting back into the groove because the USA Nationals were announced and the Echelon Racing League. They will be on my whoosh. And so that's sort of a motivating factor for me because I've done it the last 3 years. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to do it again. Masters style. So we have two Americans and 2 Canadians. Have your guys' been announced yet?
Yes, we're the week after.
Okay. What
I do have to say, the chat just started opening. Oh, it says, wait, Casey looks young and hot today.
Well, you got to read the name tag at the bottom. So yeah, you guys. So Cycling Canada, which we all love here. Is there anything different than previous years? Or is pricing better?
I don't think it's officially been announced. Like, we know the dates, but they haven't said anything. But I would guess that the Canadian prizes are way better than USA Cycling's offering, which Cycling Canada has done year after year, has been one-upped or has one-upped cycling. I mean, you, Brian, you had to buy your own jersey.
I did.
You had to literally buy your own national jersey.
No, I didn't have to buy that one. No,
but like the previous year before, you had that custom-made one.
Oh yeah, I bought that through the team. But I'm Masters. It doesn't matter. Tom, and I don't want to bring up when you came on the first time. I don't want to bring up the bad blood, but was one of the driving factors to win. This is 2022. I know the one with you, Matt Usborne. Was the pricing in the back of your mind? Like you're like, I could probably win that Element watch. I remember the pricing because I was like, I compared Cycling Canada versus the United States. I'm like, look, they're getting a watch, and they're getting a jersey, and they're getting a medal. And I'm like, United States is getting nothing. Like just a firm handshake, I guess, if they ever meet these people. Were you thinking like, hey, not only the main goal, but like, hey, there's some cool prizes too?
Yeah, that was the only year they did prizes though. But I had to go and buy one as a consolation prize for myself.
There you go. All right. Anything else? I think we should get right into the World Championships breakdown. Yes?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, going into this race, you qualified to do it, right? Then there was the qualifying. Then you qualified, right? So from that point, do you even want to touch on that? I don't know that we've spoke to you about qualifying to get into like the qualifying to do the qualifying round. What was that like? Sort of like it's changed platforms. It was later in the year, so it was after like if your outdoor season, and holding fitness into the qualifying. I think the qualifying was in September, right?
Yeah, it was early
the
September.
qualifiers were on the 6th.
6th, okay.
Yeah.
And so what was that leading up to? Like, did you do an outdoor season, and did you like, hey, I'm preparing for this?
Yeah, no outdoor season. I don't even think I rode outside other than a handful of times. So pretty much all indoor at this point. Coming off of Zwift Games, I had like a huge motivation. So I think it all kind of started, I think we talked about this last time, but it was like the Canadian Nationals, then Zwift Games, and I was like super hyped up, excited to ride. and I like went into the off season like full gas, which was kind of a mistake looking back, because kind of had that peaks and valleys of things were going great, then turns into kind of burnout, and kind of had a few different cycles of that leading up to the qualifiers for Worlds. Fortunately, with having the national championship jersey, I had an automatic spot. I didn't know that right away. So I was prepping like I was going to have to qualify or do like an open qualifiers or something like that. And then even when they announced the criteria, I had a little bit of a scare, because the way that Cycling Canada did it was they like sent, so only the people who participated at nationals got like an email, and I don't know, I guess must have gone to my junk box or something, but I didn't get it, that they were going to do 2 qualifier races on my whoosh. And then like it was like the day before the event.
When were you supposed to get it? Like you found out about it, like you said, but when were you supposed to get that email? Like when it was
I don't know when the
postmarked?
original one went out, but I found out the day before the qualifiers and had like a panic attack thing, because then I couldn't get registered.
Oh,
And
right, yeah.
they hadn't shared the criteria that I was automatically given a spot yet. So I had this like, I was like messaging like Josh from Cycling Canada and everyone being like, how come I can't get in? This is like terrible. And then they're like, oh, don't worry, like you've got a spot, but if you can get in, like please participate. So I did the second one just to kind of get some practice reps on the course. And then, but once I found out I had a spot, I kind of could relax and then just focus on the qualifier event. But just in typical esports fashion, super last minute notice and scrambling and trying to figure out what's going on.
And I think there was an issue, because I remember on Cycling Canada's Discord that my whoosh was like manually entering people's information in at the time. And even my whoosh didn't, because people were like, it was 20 minutes before the first qualifying race, and people were like, I'm not even in the race, I can't get in. And I think, didn't they have to like postpone one of them, or the second one? They were supposed to be like fairly close together, and the second one they pushed an additional week to give my whoosh a chance to sort of, get their act together.
Yeah, something like that. And I think it was like Cycling Canada had like timelines, but they hadn't informed my whoosh, and it was like not gelling. And like a couple people got in, and
Can I go back to what you said? You said after nationals, Canadian nationals, you were so motivated, you held fitness, and you were thinking about holding fitness till Zwift Games, or you came off. What was the thought process there? You said you didn't allow yourself to do ups and downs.
Nationals were in February, and then Zwift Games were like a couple weeks later. So like that was like I kind of came off a high from that like end of March time period, and I hadn't ridden much. Like like last year, I like had a lot of downtime. So like I really ramped it up like early 2024, focus on nationals, had a good nationals, good Zwift Games. And like, again, I was just kind of riding a wave of, it was stupid looking back, but it was like, I was excited to train, excited to ride. And the plan was just to kind of ramp up through the summer. But at that time, we didn't know the exact timing of Worlds.
Okay.
We just knew that
they'd pushed
qualifiers could be as early as July and August.
Oh, okay.
So I was thinking like, okay, I'll put in a good kind of 3 to 4 months and like see where I could be at, and this kind of led to burnout.
So you did burn out.
Yeah, like a little. I had a couple like times where I just like I pushed it too far, but again, I was able to kind of bounce back.
Okay, so how do you cope with, how do you like, because a lot of we all deal with this. I think all cyclists were like, I got to keep fitness. I got to keep fitness. If you have like a day off, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my fitness, and that just doesn't happen. But to stay on all the time physically is mentally taxing. What are the things that make you sort of like enjoy the riding? Whether you're like, okay, I didn't have a good workout, I'm going to take a day off and just noodle, or not even get on the bike. Like what things do you do?
Sorry. Ask that question
Okay,
again.
the question, sorry, bad question. My question is, what are the things that motivate you to stay on all the time?
Yeah, I knew what BK was trying to say. It came out a little.
Yeah,
little
it was clunky.
Yeah.
I
Casey would have got it.
Just, at that point in time, because I was kind of still ramping up, I was seeing a lot of fitness gains. So that's what was keeping me motivated, was like the numbers were still going up. And I just, again, like I'm super competitive and I want to win. And it's like, it's like, okay, if I can continue this momentum all the way there, like where can I get my numbers to by the time we're at Worlds qualifiers or even competing for Worlds? So
second question.
It was just that.
Yeah.
Drive.
So so your numbers are still going up. When do you go that I want the numbers to keep going, or that's where you're saying you have a crash? Do you go, hey, I don't want to crash, so I'm gonna shut it down for a little bit and regroup? Is that what you're doing? You're regrouping because you don't want the numbers to keep going up so you can rest, so that you can have another peak later on? Or do you just keep driving to push those numbers as far as you can go to see a new high?
That was the approach I kind of took, and I can still remember the week when it all kind of started to unravel a little bit or kind of uncouple. Was like I started to just struggle to finish workouts, wasn't able to hit the numbers that I was looking for, and it's like, okay, if I just took a couple of days off, I could probably bounce back. But then it's like I just kept pushing, and then I kind of just plateaued a little bit, and like couple bad workouts turned into like a bad week or bad 2 weeks, and it just kind of goes flat from there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you have a coach, or are you doing this on your own? Like
I do it all on my own.
Yeah.
Do you think
what's
a coach?
Like a
go ahead.
Like
go
an
ahead.
average week, hours wise? I'm always curious of like what the elite guys are doing per hour, or per week for hours on the bike.
At that point, I was probably anywhere between 15 to 20. I don't know you need that much. I think a lot of the top guys seemed, unless if they're actually sharing all their workouts, somewhere in the 8 to 12 range.
Oh, okay.
That's if they're actually sharing everything.
So what I was going to ask is, do you have somebody to talk to? Because a lot of people have coaches to not only guide them, but to just ping ideas or where I am mood wise. Do you have somebody you can talk to, or do you internalize it all?
Like sometimes teammates, but
okay.
A lot of the time it's kind of trial and error. I'm still relatively new to cycling, so I don't know. I've just always experiment and play around. I've tried. I've worked with a coach for a really brief time, but I didn't see the benefit. So again, maybe I should keep trying, but I don't mind kind of experimenting. And maybe it's not the most efficient way, but I feel like I've learned a lot about myself.
Okay.
And yeah.
Well, but it's not like it's not working. Like you're doing pretty darn good on a lot of these races. I mean, you were 12th at Worlds, which is, I'm sure maybe not the performance or the ranking that you wanted in your head, being super competitive, but like from an outsider looking in, I'm like, damn, dude's 12th. Like, holy crap.
All right, so let's get to these qualifiers. So you're automatically in, but you're like panicking. The panic subsides, and you get it, or the qualifier. You don't need to qualify, so you're in. So, did you do I don't recall if you did any of the qualifier races just to race them, to get a feel for what the style would be, or did you just kind of stay focused on training?
I did the second. There was 2 for Cycling Canada. I did the second one. At that point, I actually was really on really good fitness, and I just kind of wanted to test the other guys. So it was the 3rd race of the final of the 3-course.
The strategist or whatever it is. I think that's what it was. Like that 9-kilometer climb, or it was like a climb, right?
No. It was the 3rd race. So
the 3rd race. Okay.
what was it, Full Throttle or something like that, or All Out?
All Out. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry.
All Out.
I got this.
Yeah, so I just kind of went right from the very start and just tried to pull like a Jason Osborne move and just tried it right away. And it ended up working out, but I just kind of wanted to see what the rest of the guys, like how they'd handle it.
You are very competitive. You're like, I want to mess with people even though I've automatically qualified, which is good. We're going to touch on that about the competitiveness of the racers. So now going in, this is my questions. I said, how much prep did you put in? I think we kind of touched on that, but now that it's like a month later, right? It was like a big stretch between the end of the qualifiers to the actual race. So holding fitness, how hard was that? And the prep going into that?
That was pretty tough. That's where, again, I started to struggle. Again, I kind of was on really good forms around the qualifiers because I didn't know how hard it was going to be to get in. And that's kind of when I think I kind of my fitness ended up, like retrospectively looking at it, I kind of plateaued. And just kind of maintained all the way to Worlds, but I would have liked to keep climbing, ideally, like if in the perfect world, perfect situation.
Okay. What strategy did you kind of have going in? Because of the different kind of format, it's not like the Zwift Games was the Zwift Games kind of like the similar sort of thing, but it was 3 races. Yeah, it wasn't sort of like the previous national championships where it was like a scratch race where it's like first across the line. Those points, what was the strategy going in?
So for the qualifiers, I knew I was going to struggle on the on the climb. Yeah. So I actually went for the sprint points because I had done some of those test events. Mm-hmm. And I knew if I could do a decent sprint at the bottom, then just kind of pack it in for the rest of the race, I could get enough points on the all-out race to qualify.
Yeah.
So I went for it. I actually did a lot worse than I thought I would. I think I was like 11th on the sprint before the base of the climb, just because it was like way faster pace than I think anyone ever expected. Yeah. It was like 7 watts per kilo right out of the gun. And I was like questioning if I should still go for the sprint. And I kind of made a last minute decision and it was a little bit late. But I still ended up doing that and then just kind of sat up, pedaled easy to the finish line, and just decided to kind of save my energy for the last race.
Okay. So it's still leading up to it. So before going in, I know you were touching on it a little bit, but what were your goals going in?
Just to qualify. It didn't matter. Like as long as I was in the
just
top
participating
20.
Was enough. Just participating and being in Abu Dhabi was enough for you to be satisfied with your. Did you have any?
Going to the finals or the qualifiers?
Oh, the finals. Oh, we're still in the qualifiers. But I mean, like.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about the qualifiers.
Okay,
so going into like the September 6th race, I just wanted to be in the top 20. Like it didn't matter if I was 20th or if I was first, because it didn't make a difference. Like you didn't get a prize for winning that race.
Yeah. Okay.
So
then going in, so out of the qualifiers and then going in, what was your goals like? Okay, going to Worlds now representing Canada. What's in your head?
Played my strengths with the addition of the sprint race at the beginning. I thought I could get more points there as well. I think I could have won that. I probably put out the most like raw watts for and got the worst effort. We could talk about that in a bit, but yeah, I totally botched that first race.
Okay, let's talk about it because the women went first. Did you guys watch the women?
Yeah, we were sitting in the crowd.
And then you're like, "Wow!" Did things change in your head like before you even went? You're like, "Wow, this is a different way to kind of approach it."
I think we all. I don't know. I don't think anyone expected us to like kind of do the kind of track stand, everyone come to a standstill. I knew that like 99% of people were going to go for it on the first lap.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it would kind of be so much cat and mouse, like waiting. And then I was kind of near the front. Like I was trying to stay near the back, and ended up kind of stopping on that hill, and I couldn't stop fast enough and rolled down and just basically led out the sprint into the banner and was thinking that like I could almost catch a slingshot if I started accelerating, which is not at all how the momentum or dynamics of my whoosh work.
Yeah, right.
It's not Swift. Yeah. And it totally backfired. So on the first one, I did a full, like basically from almost not moving, I did like a full 20-second all-out effort. I think I did over 1,200 watts for 20 seconds. And was 20th place at the end of that, and I just like was like, what just happened?
Yeah, because we're gonna get into this because we have video, but this is so for the people that are just listening, the audio only audience, you can see the top. This is the standings after stage 1, so we're talking about going in. Now we're in the racing, right? Yeah. When you were in the event, like doing it, and you saw the 3 Americans sort of like fall off the back. It felt like they were kind of like chilling, and at least from what I remember, they fell off the back. Did you guys notice that? Did you pay attention to that? Did that even matter to what your effort was going to be? Because it was like a different strategy. It was this track stand sort of thing.
I knew Neil was going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was kind of looking for the Americans, and I couldn't find them in the pack, but then I'm like, I don't know, I guess you were so hyped up in the moment, I didn't really think that they had stopped. So I actually didn't notice that they had waited. And because we couldn't control our game, like it was all being controlled behind the scenes. So like we couldn't, like you didn't have a mouse, you couldn't toggle.
Oh, so really?
From a rider perspective, like I could only see what they were showing me. Like I couldn't change anything. Okay,
so I want to get, I like the weeds.
That's
on this
super
one.
interesting.
Yeah, I want the weeds on that. We haven't heard this. Do you tell them what camera you want and they lock that in? Like if you're like, I like third person. No, I like first person. And so everyone had the same camera for their.
I believe everyone had the same camera.
So what do you prefer racing with?
I just use whatever. I've been on my Woo show little. I think I had always used the dynamic view, like the regular dynamic view.
The one where the third person, where you can see your whole body.
Yeah.
And then the riders around you.
Turns.
But you can't look behind you. So you couldn't control that at all?
See, that makes sense because on the production side of things, as a viewer watching, every time they clicked on a racer, it was the exact same view, which they probably did it for a production standpoint. But from a user standpoint as a racer, that's not efficient to what you're used to seeing. Like usually you can look back, you can move the camera, like you can.
No control. And then also like your rider list, like just the way that the screen showed up for us, I could only see a portion of the rider list. So if there were people up the road or people behind, I had no idea where they were.
Okay, as a collective athlete group, did anyone request a change in that? Or did they say nobody asked for it? Or did anyone ask for it and they said no?
I don't think anyone asked for it. I think it was just, like, it was such a production. Like, we got on the bikes for, I don't know, it was an hour, probably about an hour in the middle. The first time we ever got our setup was a couple hours before the race started. And we got to just kind of test the heart rate strap and test our secondary power and do a little warm up. And that was the extent. And if everything was working, most people just kind of got off and left. Okay. And that was
You're
it.
Good.
So
bring up that video, Lee, bring up the videos and we can see it. Because I want to ask you about this. I mean, this is later on in the race, but this is Jason. This is a shot on Jason Osborne. But okay, pause there. Pause. Go back. Or right there. That's a good pause. you're in the back. So we brought this up for you in the back. And this is, I think, after, did you have your cell phone? Could you communicate on your cell phone? No cell phones, no nothing.
Nothing.
Because we looked at before they sort of pan around Jason. What are you thinking right here? Like you're really contemplating. Are you doing math? Are you trying to figure stuff out? Like this is the setup you're talking about. So this is a visual thing. But like when you're here and you've done your little setup, come back, heart rate, everything works. When you're now in the event, what's some of the things you're going through your mind? Are you just focused on the race or the upcoming races or the strategy of what's going in, or have things changed from your initial thoughts?
Well, going into race one, nobody had any idea what was going to happen other than the 3 guys from the U.S. that had planned to work together. I don't think the Belgians had multiple people, but I don't think they had planned anything.
So they didn't get together.
Race one, I think we were all just like a little anxious. I was more worried about just like staying in my pedals, and like I didn't want to like clip out, so I was just like, hope everything kind of works well. Again, a different setup, different trainer. Like I've ridden an hour on this bike. It was my bike. An hour on this setup. Like, is everything gonna work perfectly? So again, you're just like kind of in your head a little bit, but at the same time, I was trying to like react to the moment and trying to figure it out. And yeah, I totally screwed up. I got too excited. I was a little too far forward. Ended up leading out the sprint, trying to then go for it, and which I should have stopped and sat up.
You said you had little time on my whoosh. So did you have an opportunity to test this sort of scenario, not with the Americans sort of grouping up and falling out, but like a track stand or a short sprint? Was it even possible to kind of set that up on your own, or did you not have time to do that, or you just didn't focus on it?
I played around on the course, and I knew that downhill going in to the bend was going to be really important, because that's where you actually build your speed before the line started. So just me playing around, watching my speed, playing like by myself, knew that was going to be important. But for some reason in my head, I convinced myself that the draft was more important than the like momentum and speed, and kind of threw my plans out the window, because the like perfect scenario, like going into this, and even before I kind of knew the trick to doing it, which Michael ended up sharing on the My Whoosh podcast, was to build momentum on that downhill and then hit the sprint really hard, like get ton of speed and then sprint full gas from a lot of speed. But I should have just done it on my own and not worried about the draft as much as I did.
Okay. Gotcha.
So a question about the jersey. Is that like a indoor specific Cycling Canada jersey? Just looks very mesh.
No, it just that's the regular national team. It's just really thin. So
dude, I have to say,
it actually was kind of nice.
For the audio only audience, dude, you are cut. Dude, your arm is looking ripped right there. Were you doing upper body stuff? I'm serious. I'm impressed with. Are you flexing?
I'm just a lot bigger than all the other guys. Like I've from all the years of like canoeing and lifting weights, like I can't seem to get rid of the upper body. Like I'm kind of jealous of all these wavy guys, because like it's a lot of like mass that I have to carry that the others don't have. So
like you're 15, 20 feet behind Osborne, but your arm is the same size.
Dude, you're
and
flexing.
You're like 15 feet behind.
Tom, you're flex. That's a flex. I know you're so zoned in right here, but you're like, you're
like, don't stop flexing. The camera's on me.
Yeah, the indoor cycling specific Canada is like, because your sleeves are shorter. You're like, it looks good. Look cut. I like it. All right, back to seriousness. No, but I mean, you're here. You're very focused on. It's a straight shot of Jason. He's probably focused too. But you're looking at the screen. Like you look so invested in like what's going on. Like, are you just in the zone? Is this normal for you? Is this like a normal state of you like sitting in and sort of like hyper focusing?
Yeah, I think I was just like, I think based on this video, it says stage 2. So it's probably in between stage 1 and 2. And I kind of was I was thinking,
I think this is ending. I think this is after stage 2. So you're going into the third one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is later on, but I mean, we can go back to stage 2. That's just a good shot of you. If you go back further, Lee, you can find it, whatever, but there's you going, I think the top 3, which was Jason, Lionel, and then Bjorn. In stage 2, they finished, but you were like finishing strong in stage 2, and there's a shot, I think, because Jason had finished, and then you were in the back and you were finishing on, and I was looking at your wattage. You were doing like 7, 8, 9 watts per kilo or something like that, and so you were still trying to finish strong on the stage 2 because you were like, okay, you just admitted that you kind of had a setback on your strategy going into the first race, but the second race finished strong, get as many points as possible. So what was that like going into stage 2 after doing the first one? Like you were like kind of on the back foot going, hey, I need to come in and sort of change my attitude going into stage 2, right?
Yeah. So again, I was 9th after stage 1. I would have loved to be somewhere in the top 5. I think I was capable of doing better. I just botched it. So it took a lot. I ended up having to do a second sprint on my own to go from 20th to 9th, and it worked out. I think it was worthwhile, but those 20 they were 20 seconds all out, like max efforts, and I had that's a ton of fatigue already. That
audio only audience, we're looking at him.
Oh, it looks so good in slow-mo.
So you brought your own bike. This is another thing where you brought your own bike, your own setup and everything. Everyone had the same heart rate monitor? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we all had I don't know how you pronounce it, Magine.
Oh, the Magine heart rate monitor. Okay.
Yeah, they said that's the only one that didn't, like, they tested all the top brands, and it was the only one that didn't get interference
in
with
the
all
room.
the riders on stage. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right on. Oh. And so did you connect everything, or they connected everything? It was all in the back.
Yeah, they had like strict, like, you get on stage, you pick it up, you put it on when you tell you, like, it was all like super orchestrated.
Okay.
And then they like ran around, checked that your power and heart rate were connected, and then the race like started. Like it was like a serious production, so they didn't mess around.
Okay. So now this is go ahead, Lee.
I was gonna say, I guess when you were talking about not being able to control, the screen in the game, that's probably at the start of the race something you wouldn't think of that you needed to do until you were like partway through going, damn, I don't have a mouse. I can't keyboard anything. But at the same time, they probably did that because you could accidentally click off the game. But that's a big part of esports cycling, is being able to look at different views, clicking on riders, seeing where they were.
Well, I mean, side note, every platform should have a broadcast build so they can access all of the competitors, and there needs to be an athlete or a competitor build so that the competitor can set it up their own way, right? Like you should be able to, hey, I like first person. You could be on first person, and then I can look. I like looking behind. I love that from RGT. Even my Zwift plays. I like the little down arrow. I can look backwards. I like looking behind. Some people like clicking around in the rider list. I just like a quick glance behind. It's essentially like looking over your shoulder. And I think that's what it needs to happen, is the platforms need to build off of this and go, yeah, we want the production value and we want it to look great. So we don't want the athletes clicking off of their rider to see because they're competing. We want to have our own broadcast build where it gives us access to every rider and we can easily access those. That's what needs to happen. It needs to be not one, like watching Tom Thrall. It's like, whatever. Side note, done. Side rant, done. Okay, you're doing stage 2, right? So you've coming off that, you're doing this, you finish, I don't know where you finished. This is the standings. So where did you finish in stage 2? If you can, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Somewhere around kind of my position. So I went like, I did a decent effort at the bottom of the sprint, not like somewhere maybe like, I can't remember exactly, maybe 6th to 10th place. And then I tried to stay with the front group up the climb. I made it like 3/4 of the way until like the last 200 or 300 meters when it gets really steep, and lost touch, and then just kind of blew up a little bit. A couple guys kind of caught up to me right as we were going over the top, and then we kind of rode in a group. But yeah, kind of in that, I can't remember exactly. Okay. I never watched the stream back.
Well, I don't think they touched on you. So that's the thing, is a lot. That's from the viewer standpoint, is sometimes we only see person in the lead, like Jason went off, and then we see the chase group a little bit, and we want to see you sometimes, James Barnes, and see some other people, and sometimes we don't see that because the production was as good as it can be, but there's that's maybe they're using the one camera or they're using everyone's camera. They have it all built in, but like the storytelling throughout the broadcast is sometimes tough, where everyone's on stage, they're trying to cut that in, but they might not know that you're struggling and trying to bridge back over or beat the people that have now come back to you. Because when you get regrouped, you're like now thinking, I gotta squeeze as many points out as possible from these people that have now bridged over to me. If you could have stayed away solo, maybe you could have, hold on to those extra little points. So now you're in fighting within the group that you're with. So from a broadcast standpoint, it's a little tough. But from you mentally, you're finishing strong. Now you're going into the third race. You're down lower. Where your goal sets now, like you're in it. You're like, okay, can I move up enough?
Yeah, I knew at that point I wasn't going to win, but maybe a top 10. I think going into the last race, that was the goal. And James and I, we're good friends and teammates outside of this, and we knew that we had talked about some scenarios, and we just wanted to have fun and start attacking going into the last race. And hey, if we can get away together or just disrupt, let's just go have some fun. So I think it was kind of let's see how the first 2 stages go, and then at the end of the day, we're here to have fun. Let's just make the most of it. And that's kind of how I approached the last race. And I think I attacked within the first 2 or 3 minutes, and then the race just started to blow up right from the very beginning.
Now, how were you after doing the first 2? Where did you feel your fitness-wise, your recovery from that standpoint? Did you have enough time to recover?
Terrible.
Okay, so that change going, I wanted to attack and have fun, but I don't have that much left. Did that happen?
Kind of, but it was I knew everyone in the room felt terrible. So
oh yeah, okay. It was so hard. I was watching. It was so hard. Everyone looked like they were completely gassed. I could only imagine. Were you talking to the people next to you? The other competitors?
Yeah, I was talking to the 2 guys beside me. I had Sieb beside me and Johan.
Yeah, right.
Johan didn't speak much, but the Belgian guy beside me, we were chatting a lot. I had never met him before riding beside him, but we were having a lot of fun just chatting. Because we at that point, we were both kind of towards the back, so we just wanted to have fun. And even on the sprint, he had a bad sprint, and I was kind of coaching him and helping him to try and move up, and we were just again having fun the whole time.
I kept seeing Teppo. He was smiling. He was because he had a bunch of injuries, and he had some tough times to even get qualified. And I think he was a special. I don't know if he was a special.
Yeah, he was a wild card.
Wild card selection. That's it. And so he was having fun doing whatever he could do. But it's nice to see people you know from the streaming, from the community. But everyone looked totally gassed because it was so all out. That's the thing. Okay. You finish stage 2. You're going into stage 3. You're going to have some fun. Did you ever yell to James across because he was further away from you? Did you ever yell?
So we had kind of talked about like, just like, because we were so far away, like the stage was massive, like what kind of like bird call or like what kind of a noise could you do? And we had talked about if the pack slowed down after after the kind of the initial start, like we would start going. And then he like yelled something and I went first and he followed. It was like really short-lived, but it was enough to just be disruptive. Yeah. And it put kind of everybody on their toes like right away, because that course is pretty hard, because like you go down that first hill and then there's the first uphill and then it kind of goes down rolling and then the steep uphill. So we had made it hard even before that first uphill, so like the race had basically completely shattered within the first like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, and you were not, I don't believe you had a teammate. It was just you, or no?
Yeah,
it
was just me.
Just you. Now, other teams had teams. Were you trying to disrupt the teams that had larger numbers, or is it just, I'm going to disrupt everybody? Not that you're trying to go after a certain thing, but it's more of like these strong teams, sometimes you feel like it's like David and Goliath sort of thing. Or was it just go mess everybody up?
Yeah, it was just like kind of just be disruptive.
Just have fun. You didn't have like a big like a bird call, like a whoo-hoo. So the whole is that what you? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, right on. All right, when we talk to James again, we can see if he remembers that code word. Okay, so you're doing it. You're digging deep. Yeah, this is all visual here. What's that on your forehead? Is that a cooling?
Yeah, it was
one of those. James says in chat was America.
It was America. All right. From the South African and the Canadian.
It was America. Yeah, but he didn't actually yell that because
he didn't. No.
But yeah, that was a cooling headband, like those. I don't know. You see them all the. Yeah. I thought it might help. It actually was pretty good. I was surprised how good it worked.
How was the cooling? How hot was it in there? Because everyone was saying it was hot. I was
going to ask that.
It wasn't too bad. Like the room was relatively cool. The fans were not great. Like there was 2 fans on the floor. Like I would have liked more. But like overall, I wasn't focused on how hot I was. Like just the racing was so hard. Like it didn't matter anymore.
It didn't matter. Could you have your own bike computer, or is it just
no?
You couldn't. It was only you couldn't record your own stuff to your own data.
No, they didn't want any.
Oh wow! Any outside equipment? I understand that. It's like a rules and regulations. So like, hey, we don't want any manipulation. If you had your own thing, I'm just curious. Like some people have their own setups and they like having. Like for me, I like routines, and so I'm always rolling whatever I want to roll with. And if I played team sports, so I practiced the way I raced, or not raced. I played games. So I dressed the same equipment, practice game. That was a fighting off my anxiety of just competition. It was just my thing. Going into this, you didn't have that sort of comfort level, right? You had to adapt to what they were saying.
Yeah, because we didn't even see the venue until the day of the race. Like we didn't get the day before. Like
no
nothing.
Rehearsals.
So no, just like in the morning. Like I guess we went at like 12 o'clock and the race was at like 9 p.m. So we're just a few hours before the race.
Any talking with the production? Anybody from the production to come talk to the athletes? No, you guys just were there to.
They gave us a UCI briefing the day before and kind of walked us through everything that would happen or everything that we could expect. But I don't like. Again, it was pretty seamless. Like they made it so easy. So the bikes worked well. There was no connection issues. Like I was okay with it because at the end of the day we were all in a level playing field. Like nobody got more time than anyone else. So. We were all just kind of dealing with the unknown factor.
Okay. All right. So you finish stage 3. You come through. Final results here, Lee. Let's see it.
Apparently, I'm racing for the USA.
Yeah, wrong flag. It's all right. Thomas Thrall, 84 points, 12th place. Happy?
Given where I started where I went from race 2 to race 3, yeah, I was pretty happy. I think I did pretty well in that last race. Gave it my all. I was completely exhausted. Would have liked to be on the left side of the leaderboard.
Right.
Even preferably at the top of the leaderboard, but I think given how I felt going in, where I qualified, all that stuff, I think I did pretty well, but always want more.
Yeah, always want more. And the numbers, the numbers match, or were they from your previous? Like we were talking earlier, the numbers were keep going up, and then you had your sort of the plateau. Were those numbers the same? Were you comfortable with those? That sort of like your performance being this late in the season, and having to stretch that through, qualifiers and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe I saw a bit of a decline, to be honest, going into this race. I think I was probably at my strongest when the Canadian qualifiers were, like that timing. And again, kind of plateaued, if not went backwards a little bit, just because of the stress and the preparation and everything. It was a lot. But I don't know.
You're happy. That's good. I'm not trying to dig in.
I'm not like super upset with it, but like I don't think it was perfect. I don't think it was the perfect lead up.
Yeah. But for the experience itself, representing Canada, your country, and being there on site, this is your first. Is this your first event on site racing for like a high stakes thing, right? For a lot of people, it probably was. I think Lionel and maybe a couple other people have done in-person stuff, but this is big. So do you?
I think isn't this like the first indoor live event since like 2019 or 20? Because you had the Olympics last year, and then this. I don't.
Yeah,
live events.
Yeah. No, live
events focused around Zwift or RGT or My Whoosh.
I think
it's been a while.
I think maybe it was before the pandemic, but I remember there was that Zwift. There was the CVR races, right? And then there was
that Singapore event.
The Singapore event, which is the Olympic thing, but then there was also like those Zwift like pub things. I think the Yorkshire World Championships had the like pubs where they actually had British cyclists. I think it was like a British event, something like that. But for you, this is your first event. So you having to, fly to Canada, was there jet lag? Was there any sort of like getting acclimated to the time, the performance? Any sort of issues with that?
The travel's long. It's almost 24 hours to get there.
Wow.
With total flight time, I think, or travel and airport was 20 hours, but that doesn't count like the time leaving your house or actually getting to the hotel. So I think I left Monday at like 2 or 3 p.m. or I probably left home at like 1 and then got there like Tuesday evening. So it's just like with time change and travel, like it's brutal.
Wow.
So it's an 8-hour time change from Eastern time. Which is a lot to adjust to. So I pushed to go. Originally, they wanted us there Wednesday till Saturday. And I pushed and I asked if I could go on Monday and just like an extra day would make a huge difference just to get adjusted. I felt, I think it helped. It was... again, with all the adrenaline and excitement going in, I felt it was fairly easy to kind of acclimate. And there wasn't much to do other than just like hang around at the hotel, like ride the trainer. I went for like one outdoor ride just to kind of explore a little bit. But it was like 4 days of nothing. I was kind of getting sick of it because like you didn't want to go like touring like right before a Worlds event. So it's like you're there in like in a new country, in a new place, but like all you really see is like the inside of a hotel. It's just like traveling on business. Like,
yeah, right.
It sounds way better than it actually is.
Yeah. Was the weather all right?
Oh yeah. What's
super hot, like extremely hot, like
Canadian, very Canadian, right? Super hot.
Yeah, but I live in North Carolina, so it.
Oh right, yeah. You're in North Carolina.
A little bit, like it's like it was kind of like not as humid, but like same kind of temperatures.
Yeah. It must be cold because your ceiling fan isn't on.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here. Cold for North Carolina.
Actually, I have a couple questions from the audience.
Oh, we're not done yet. Hold on, I have another one.
Oh,
I have more.
Oh, you're still going. Oh,
I got tons. I wrote, hey man, this is a special guest.
We'll continue.
How could we? So sort of kind of we touched on it, but like what from your perspective can be celebrated about this event and about the whole experience?
Yeah, well, I think to the things you guys have already mentioned, like it was the first first World Championship live event that's ever happened. I think this was the biggest esports like live event in probably history, just from the magnitude of riders, like the audience, the setup, everything. So I was just excited just to even like be part of this. Like, I think this is kind of history in the making. Hopefully this sport continues to grow and one day will be as big as we all hope and want it to be. And then to kind of look back and to think that you were at the kind of the kickoff of it all, I think is pretty cool.
Very cool. So you touched on the event. Now, was the crowd inside engaged, and were they following along and going, hey, they kind of knew what was going on? And they were cheering you guys on?
Yeah, I felt like if the crowd wasn't massive, there was like a decent number of people. Like they had like I don't know exactly the number of seats, maybe like 100 people in the audience, and all the seats were full and people were cheering and excited. To be honest though, the way that they like set up the pod, like you're so hyper focused and you're kind of like looking down that I feel like it was hard to kind of take in the atmosphere. My dad actually came to watch, so a couple times I had looked out and just saw him out in the crowd, but I wasn't super aware of the audience. Like you didn't really feel the audience when you're riding.
Oh, okay, yeah. You didn't. Because you were so focused, but when you got like being in that big room, the ambiance, for lack of a better term, you got in. Did that sort of spike the adrenaline, make it more substantial? Like, hey, I'm here. This is the sort of thing. Because you only got there. You said there was no. It was a couple hours before you got, before the racing started. As you got to see the venue, right?
Yeah, definitely got kind of everyone excited, and it got me excited. I think everyone was saying their heart rates were super high, and I think that was just like the whole spectacle of it all. Maybe it was also really hot in the room. But yeah, no, it was good. And like I could like look out and see Peter Sagan like cheering. So it was like, it was cool. It was really cool.
Oh, that's cool. I know that he signed he's like a sponsored athlete by now. That's awesome that he was there. Were there other pros?
Yeah, Pogacar was there, and he left 30 minutes after 30 minutes into the women's race. He kind of snuck out, but Sagan stayed the whole time. So
that's awesome. Cool.
He's the diehard fan.
That's cool.
That's
what things can be improved, do you think?
My understanding, like I think just from a rider perspective, like I kind of mentioned, it was sometimes hard to know like the standings, like in the moment. Like I also like the rider view, things like little things like that. I just felt like from a rider and even from a spectator, it was a little bit hard to follow exactly what was going on. So I think that can be improved, but overall, I think for the kind of the first shot at this, I don't have a ton of like better ifs.
Yeah. The game's going to get better. Like we touched on it. There should be a broadcaster specific build, and then the athletes have their own thing, and those are agnostic to each other. They, but did it bring the writers together? That's the thing. Is like we were talking about this. There's like we talked before you even came on. We were talking about what's the difference between like esports and just athletes that are in the virtual world. Like you're an athlete. We're kind of all on trainers. We're all doing things. Mouse and keyboard doing other esports, like other, top tier games. There's a rivalry sometimes with teams. There's rivalries with personalities in that. The thing that brings cyclists together, in my opinion, is we're all suffering. And so we understand that pain. And so the rivalries are sometimes there when you're competing, but at the end of the day, it's a big camaraderie between everybody because we all know how hard it is.
Yeah, and I would say bringing the riders together, at least from the men's side, I got a chance to talk to pretty much everybody that raced, and like you almost want to like hate somebody to have like a little rivalry or something like that, and honestly, they were all like really great. And
okay, so who did you hate? Who did you hate, quote unquote? This is a quote. Who did you have a rivalry with that you didn't know, and then you met them and you're like, oh, these are pretty cool. You want to share the name first, or you don't want to disclose it? Just say Zach Nair. Just say Zach Nair. It's okay.
But I'd already met Zach before. We had ridden before, but sure, if it's Zach Nair.
He was a teammate of yours, so I'm just giving you a hard time.
We had ridden before at like team camp and things like that. So, no, but like, again, Eve, like, again, I have nothing bad to say about any of these guys. I think that was probably my favorite part of the whole trip, was just like sitting in the hotel every morning at breakfast. Like a group of like, I don't know, 6 to 8 of us would just eat, and we'd sit there for like 3 hours and just talk about, like, it was just like Discord but real life, like everything you talk about on a Discord thread for esports, like that's like, it was just that at the hotel for like 4 or 5 days.
So let's start a rivalry. Let's pick somebody.
We were talking offline about this, where, like everyone that you meet in esports cycling has been very nice. And so there isn't anybody where like, oh, that guy's a jerk. But then at the same time, when you get everyone in the same room, you almost want that like WWE element where it's like you look over between races and you're like, James Barnes, stage 3, you're going down. I'm going to take that sprint. And then it would like...
Well, James and Tom are like the tag team. They're like the Heart Foundation or whatever it is, because they're calling out each other. They have the bird call in the stadium. Yeah. No, but it's like seeing all the competitors, men and women. I mean, some of those women's races with Gabriela Guerra, digging so deep. Everyone just digging so deep. It was a really good time. So
yeah, it was good. It was exciting racing on both sides, and I think that's all we wanted at the end of the day. And I hope from a spectator, you guys enjoyed it.
Well, now that we see you flexing, because he's been putting it up there, we're gonna, dude. That's your signature move now. I think you just you pull the sleeve tight and you flex, and then we all know to be like, yeah, dude, that's it. The flex, the Tom Thrall flex, because it's the rower. It's that rowers. Yeah, it's like the rowing.
What
and
you
the,
need, you got the emote in game. We need you like at any moment. Someone clicking that, like the flex popping up there in game. That's what we need. Like you go out, you just get in the front, boom. I mean, the emotes. I know you can't control it. You said you didn't ride too much, but yeah, the emotes are kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just a different aspect than the Zwift perspective of it. But something I was wondering, what did you think of the actual whole event? Like the different courses? Did you like that over like a single stage? Like, because I know there's a test event, but like I'm just the random fluffy guy in his basement, and I finished like ahead of an Olympian and like a couple like, elite females. Granted, they could have just been milling around, you know what I mean? But like the points race gives me a shot to actually compete, whereas like in the scratch race they destroy me. So like, did you like that format?
Yeah, I like the multiple race format. I think it just, again, as an esports racer, you've kind of come to expect the unexpected and like be ready for anything. And I think I like that it's kind of moving away from kind of the traditional scratch race. I do like doing scratch races at the end of the day, but I think it's a lot of fun to mix it up. And to your point, I think it levels the playing field a little bit, especially if they're bringing in like different courses, different elements where there's something for everyone. Yeah. I do think, kind of looking back at this event, again, maybe it's just they're just the strongest overall riders, but the guys that can climb well on My Whoosh, like in SRC, a lot of their names are near the top of this. So I think it was a little bit heavy towards the climber, whereas again, there's been a lot of races on Zwift that, or maybe it's the draft dynamics that kind of have leveled the playing field a bit more. And again, maybe it's an aspect of dynamics and course selection, but I would have liked to have seen, I don't know, maybe like a flat sprint race in there as well that could have just changed it up a little bit, like leveled it even further.
I will say, because I've raced a ton on Zwift and I've spent a lot of time doing My Whoosh this year, and the draft is very different than Zwift. Like it's much smaller bubble, because you get a group, it's big, it's much smaller, and it is different. So that could be play into that aspect. Whereas, someone who doesn't understand that, like you were saying with the sprint race to begin with, you didn't fully realize what the draft was, because that was kind of something that I was curious to see, how someone who does the SRC and understands the dynamics, because we are like all of My Whoosh, we're learning the dynamics because they just finally got rid of the power delay there a couple months ago. So if you had rode it, I don't know, say before August, there was that 3-second delay. Like you put power down and then your little dude's just chilling. Then all of a sudden, I got to go. Well, now that it's instant, everyone's kind of learning these dynamics now. So it's a different game now than it was 2-3 months ago.
I got a question. Yeah, go. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's only going to continue to get better. And I know they're like continually kind of tweaking it. But I definitely think looking ahead with the Echelon Series Nationals, I think I'm going to spend a lot more time on My Whoosh this winter than I thought I was going to, which is a good thing. And it'll help me get better for next year as well.
Yeah. What do you think? Go ahead, Brian. Yeah, my turn. Your turn.
Yeah. What?
I have a question. About Jason Osborne. Go. Jason leaving the pro peloton or for a team to focus solely on esports. Is that what's your opinion on that?
I think it's awesome. It's what's kind of humbling is, again, like, look at his role on like a pro team. He was more of like a domestique role, and he comes into esports and he's the champ. So just shows the level of the kind of pro tour of these guys. So I think that's it's humbling in that aspect, but I think it's really cool to see that there are several people in the My Whoosh space racing SRC and some of the top level races on Zwift, making a full career of it. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I also think it's sort of what we kind of want, this sort of like community wish of community people being the highlights of the racing, the elite racing, because they spent the most time in. We have this conversations all the time about, they don't ride in Zwift, or they don't ride in My Whoosh, or they don't ride in other places, and they just come in and swoop up all the races, and then but that's not happening anymore, because now this is becoming hyper focused on the esports, e-cyclist, virtual athlete, whatever we want to call it, space, instead of pro coming off the road and then just coming in here to just swoop up another thing. So I think it's good. All right. New topics. Thank you very much for that. I have a question about Training Peaks. Do you use Training Peaks?
No.
No.
I don't have a I used it when I worked with a coach for a bit.
Okay.
I had a subscription, but after that I just didn't see the point.
So what do you use to track all your stuff? Do you want to can you reveal it or no?
No, I don't mind revealing. I'm like, I don't use any of the to be honest, I don't. It's all kind of feel.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just like, I feel good. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of going back to my roots, when I first started riding outside, I didn't use a power meter, didn't use heart rate monitor, and I just raced on feel and had like relatively quick results, and quick growth within the sport. I think just sometimes like too much data is I think data is good.
Oh, I agree. I'm with you on this. Keep going.
Get sucked in, and like even since I've kind of made this switch to inside, I like see myself going in that direction, because I used to get so frustrated when we'd go on rides outside and I didn't use anything, and people like would get frustrated when their power meters didn't work properly and how much it like mentally like screwed them up and all that kind of stuff. And when you didn't have any of that, it was like so free and liberating. You just like enjoyed riding your bike. But like that's really hard to do in indoor cycling. But like I try to keep as much of that as possible.
So you're just a cyclist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Now I capture all my data. I rarely look at it. I'm just asking, like, how do you, like, okay, what's the garbage bin you throw everything into? That's what the repository.
I use Strava, but I don't pay for it.
You use Strava. Okay, so if you do want to look at something, you use Strava. But
like on the free account, you can't do anything. I
can't. I don't have
a pay
account.
Look at my power curve. So.
Okay. Well, there you go, Brian.
No, I was going to call you out, BK.
What?
Because you have every single sensor known to man, and
yes,
I'm like,
you
were talking about whatever, and then I like that you collect the data but don't look at it.
I barely look at it.
That's hilarious. That's great.
Speaking. Okay. I'm breaking the rule. I'm breaking the rule because I want to bring it in. Because Tom's going to be racing here. I'm breaking the rule. Can I break the rule or no? We set this rule.
It's your rule.
Yeah, you made it.
Okay, so have you raced on Zwift in a while, or have you just?
I do. Yeah, I race quite a bit.
Are you in the Zwift World Series? Are you doing that?
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Okay, what is your take on racing score?
I don't know. I have an opinion on it. So I looked at it because I thought maybe you'd probably ask. So I don't know like what relevance it has.
Yes. Thank you. You don't even know what it means. Hey, Brian and Casey. I don't know what it means. That's why I don't care about it, because it's just smoke and mirrors, man. I'm still claiming it's smoke and mirrors.
I think the problem is, though, actually, it was mentioned in chat as well. Once you're at the top level, racer score doesn't matter. Racer score only really matters to guys like me who want to race against other level 200 race score people. But if you're over like the 690 threshold, you're at that elite level. Like, does it really matter that you're 780? You're still racing against like people in that class.
Okay, this is all opinion based, because we still don't know what it is or what it does. And you guys scour all of the Facebook posts, the James Bailey stuff. I still don't know what it does and what it like. It's like secret sauce. It's like, can you tell me the ingredient, or like the Coca-Cola recipe? It's the Coca-Cola recipe. Oh, we can't tell you what that is. It's just for Brian and Casey to be super hyped. I did this and I did that.
To that point though, I think where it matters most is like, I guess, the old categories of like B, C, D, like where you're not at the top racing score, is just to make sure that I think it tries to level the playing field for
right. Of course.
Who you're racing.
No, of course we're joking here.
No,
but I was
laughing earlier because you talked about having sensors, and I was one of those guys where I went to leave for work and my power meter battery or it wasn't connecting to my Garmin. And I was like, screw this commute. I'm driving. If I can't record power, what's the point of like riding to work?
Yeah. And I love collecting all the data, but if it doesn't exist, I'm totally cool with it. Like, I love it. I love that you ride by feel.
I record everything. Like I do record everything just to like get a sense of like maybe volume for the week, but I don't do anything with.
I love you, Tom. I love you, Tom. It's awesome.
You could throw
I don't do anything
your
with mine
data
either.
Into intervals. It's got intervals.icu, and like it's training peaks for free. Like, if you don't, I mean, it's phenomenal. I use it.
He looks at his numbers. Didn't you hear him say at the beginning? He's like, I was doing my things. I was hitting these good numbers. So he does look.
Yeah.
But he's not like you.
Workout to workout.
Yeah. And so let me ask you, when you first were, I think maybe we touched on this. You do like perceived effort pretty much all the time. Is that sort of like how you go, hey, that was a good workout, and that's how you kind of gauge it?
Yeah. Like obviously, like I'll use like FTP as like a benchmark kind of for zones and stuff, but yeah, perceived effort most of the time.
That's it. We done?
So how many
questions from the audience?
Well, first of all, Canadian nationals, how many people will be there? Because there's now hoops again.
Oh.
Because people hate jumping through hoops. So it's.
I think at the lower level, I think at the elite level, you'll get at least the guys who wanted to race for the Worlds qualifiers. I think everyone that kind of did that. So we'll get at least 5.
At least 5.
Well, that's always, I mean, I want to see esports progress, but my hope as a 46-year-old fat guy that no one shows up.
Lee wants a podium.
Like selfishly,
Lee wants a podium.
Selfishly, I would love a podium.
We're gonna have
no one showed up. I'll take it. I'll take it.
We're gonna have Josh on next. I think, is it next week? When do we have Josh?
I think a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, we're gonna try to have Josh on again. I'm gonna try to get him to go to see if, I don't know who governs the governing. You guys should go to the 5 for Lee, the 5 year for Masters. Your 10-year block is just way too hard. If you could go 5, because the United States uses 5 years blocks, so it's like 45
There's some
plus.
fast dudes in the 40 plus categories.
Oh.
Yeah,
Tom, you're not Masters yet, are you?
No, not yet. Not eligible.
Good.
Close. I think I'm a year.
Oh,
what is
okay.
it, 35? 1 year away.
Is it 30? Yeah, 35 plus. Are you excited for that, or you're not excited for that? You sound very reluctant.
Well, seeing that like Neil Fryette was like 45 and racing at Worlds, and Samuel Brandlin was also, I think, in his late 40s. I'd like to hang on as long as I can.
I think you will. Especially just with those arms, just with the biceps, the flex. I think you're going to be around for a very long time. Don't worry about it.
I hope so.
So I have a question for Tom, but it's sort of directed at BK. So it's been just over 12 months. Do you miss RGT?
Yes, I do. I don't think Tom cares, but
that was a question from chat, because they were like,
at the end of the day, like I liked it. It was something different. I raced on RGT almost right from the beginning. I did those Echelon Racing series every year. I always enjoyed it. It was something different from Zwift. So I like.
Yeah, I miss it.
It was like a joke question because Brian.
I love RGT. I have a fond place. It's like Disneyland that closed down, or like I don't know if they have this in North Carolina or where you grew up in Canada. We had a thing called Family Fun Center. It was like mini golf and go-karts and arcade, and then it disappeared. That's RGT for me. It's nostalgic. It's nostalgic.
I have visions of Brian going to the Wahoo office and banging on their doors, yelling, "Why? Why?"
Well, we have there. So there's a new. You got to try this, Tom. I don't know if you even have time to kind of try new stuff, but Bike Terra, free, works on a browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just works on a. You can type it up right now on a website. You just go Biketerra, Biketerra. It looks like Virtua Fighter, so the graphics aren't great, but it's like you can do the magic roads. You can load a GPX file in. So if you want to do some training on a course, there's a lot more things out there. There's whatever Zwift, of course, IndyVelo. No, IndyVelo's Training Peaks now.
Training Peaks.
MyWoosh, Biketerra. Have you ever tried Ruvi?
No, never tried Ruvi.
Interested?
The only reason I ever try a new platform is because there's like a race that I want to, like a big race that typically is on a new platform. So if any of these platforms start hosting big races, I'll definitely do it. But
okay,
time is probably better spent learning MyWoosh, given that the worlds are there for the next 2 years.
True.
Do you have any interest in Sunday Race Club doing that, or is it too early? I do think I see you riding early because I see your rides on Strava.
Yeah, sometimes I ride early. It's not like it's just because that's the only time that really works. But again, I could make it work and I could do it. I haven't been super motivated to wake up and because it's not even like, even if the race started at 5, like it's 90 minutes before, you gotta wait. Like you want to optimize everything.
Oh yeah, you gotta weigh in. I forgot. Yeah.
So then it's like,
it sucks.
It's like actually like I don't know, with the time change it's even earlier now, right?
Well, for me, my race, I'm Cat 4 right now, and I started at 4:40 this morning. So I got up at 3:45, got a little snack, and kind of hung out, woke up, and then started riding at 4:20 a.m. Yeah, and for you guys, for Cat 1, I assume you'd be Cat 1, you'd have to weigh in before the race. I know they weigh in before the race for every race, so yeah, you'd have to, I don't know the time frame. 60
to 90 minutes, I believe, before every race, so it's actually like a 3:30 wake up.
Oh yeah. Man,
that's early.
Hey, from that elite sort of standpoint, what are the things that, like the performance verification things, that you don't like doing? You have to do, but you don't really like doing? Is it that weigh-in? Is it like having to stress about the weight?
Yeah, I don't love the weigh-in. It's like it just consumes your day. Like for example, I'm racing next Thursday. I'm doing like the Zwift race, and like it's in the middle of the workday, so it's like trying to balance that and blocking your calendar. Then you'll weigh in like 2 hours before, but like you're just cognizant about what you're eating and drinking up until your weigh-in. And then like it's all consuming, so it's part of the sport, and again, you want to be optimized and kind of do your best and have everything super dialed in. So it's a full day event. Even if you're racing in the afternoon, it's like it just consumes all your attention. But anything else, I don't mind doing the power tests like a couple times a year, or like it's typically like once or twice for Zwift. It's just a pain. It's a pain when the platforms like don't work together. Yeah. Like I wish there was just one verification and like for like one standard thing for everything. I hate like coming into the semifinals. It was like I had to do like my MyWoosh Power Passport. I had to do my Zwift critical power test. And because I don't ride outside, I didn't have like outdoor efforts that I could have used. So it's just like the time, and they don't care like that one event is going on. It's like it's just so focused on like their own platform, and they don't communicate and talk. And that's probably my biggest gripe just right now. It's like, can we standardize across like from the UCI or from
that was that,
from the riders? The riders could get together.
E-Bio Passport website. You know, if they were using that like they did back in the past. I think the first couple
it still is like I remember that it was the old Echelon Racing League E-Bio Passport thing, where if you did, because I remember I did a verification on RGT to do the Echelon Racing League for that year that was on RGT, but most people did Zwift Power Passport or Zwift whatever the Zada test to do their verification because they're like, oh, it kills two birds with one stone, right? But the difficult part is kind of like the racing score. It's your racing score only matters for Zwift, but Tom races on multiple platforms. I race on multiple, or I used to race on multiple platforms. Maybe I will again. Brian races on multiple platforms. Lee, you don't really race, but that racing score doesn't exist. Like if you were in My Whoosh, like Tom's in My Whoosh for the next like month and a half or whatever because he's training or doing something or preparing, his racing score in Zwift is going to go down. There needs to be not only power passport tests across for all athletes, but then racing score across, like chess. Like if you do a chess tournament, like because I know they modeled it after that, your number should go along with you. Just like the jersey should go along with you. Like Jason Osborne's jersey. Like do you have a Canadian jersey in My Whoosh?
No. Oh, they like superimposed it for the finals, but like I don't have one in the garage in My Whoosh.
Yeah. So like
hopefully next year I'll have one.
But see but the way the UCI is sort of setting the tone, they should be like, oh, Tom Thrall, he's Canadian national. He should have, any jersey that he has in the game, he should have it not in the game, in virtual world standings. Yeah. You should have it in all platforms.
Well, it's a weird thing because you technically should, but because it is all governed by UCI, but they're all private platforms that a few of them you have to pay a subscription fee. So it's not like they're governed by the UCI. Right. They're governed by their own rules. But as we've all grown up cycling being governed by UCI, and we know that to be, the standard, but it's totally not in esports.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other actually cool thing, we didn't touch on it, but at the live event, they did drug testing as well, which was good. So I was drug tested at the Worlds. So wow. I think that's something that's not talked about, but I think it's...
Can we get into the details?
Sure.
Was it pee or blood?
Just urine, just pee.
Just urine. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was before and after, or just before?
I only got it before. I'm assuming some of the
Podium.
top guys might have got it after. I don't know they did everybody. It was funny when they were like asking like our room, like we had to all submit like once we had to fill out like a whereabouts leading up to the event. So I think you give a window, and then so they could have come to our houses, and then at the event they were like asking us all for our room numbers, and like I typed mine in, and like 2 seconds later I get a knock at the door. It was hilarious.
You're like standing in the hallway.
Yeah, ping, exactly.
Ping. Right on.
But again, I one comment I want to make on that is I think it's really great to see its progress, because I think that's one aspect like that people don't really consider, is like they're so focused on like manipulating power and manipulating things, but like Zwift and My Whoosh, I don't know outside of the UCI are doing any drug testing. So I think it'd be cool if we could like have a regular testing pool for all the top athletes.
Kind of makes it more a legitimate sport. I mean, you don't want to like be like, oh, they're testing for drugs because there's drugs in the, people are doing performance enhancing drugs, but at the same time, it has reached that top level if they're starting to do that. Like if people are taking notice, like, hey, we should make sure these guys are clean, because they're winning world championships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like right now it's only like, I think the challenges with this is like the athletes also know that they're only testing in and around these big events, which I don't know is a perfect system currently. So that's why I'd love to see like a random testing pool year round for especially these like all athletes that are like now making a living of it. It's like we got to make sure that the people winning money and kind of doing things are doing it the right way.
Right.
Good take.
So that actually leads into another, maybe the final question, or the
final question for you.
Final question for me. Man, I got plenty of questions. Where do you see this sport in 5 years, 10 years?
I don't know. Like
bigger, smaller, gone.
Grow.
You think it's gonna grow?
No, I think it's gonna grow.
Okay.
But like
okay.
after an event like this, like I would assume this is now the standard every year that it's gonna be a live in-person Worlds final.
Okay.
I think I'd like to see, and I'm hearing that it's going to be in either the Esport Olympics or the actual Olympics. I think that's the goal. So, yeah, the Olympics, I guess, would be the pinnacle, because then you you have all the fans and from that event. I think that would probably be like the biggest and kind of best that the sport could reach. I don't know what would be bigger than that, but.
I think that would totally help just general esport growth, just getting some like Olympic TV coverage. Like even if they just showed it for 15 minutes, people would go, whoa, what the heck is this?
I mean, we're still talking about breakdancing. I love breakdancing. Hold on a second. I love breakdancing. I actually do really. I'm an old rap, hip hop guy, person, whatever. I'm not knocking breakdancing. I'm just saying that like breakdancing is now on the world stage. Yeah, there was some controversy with the whatever her name is, Raygun, but it is on everyone's radar now, more so. With this is less of a judging sport, kind of like gymnastics, and where it's like judges judge you, like skateboarding. I love skateboarding, and skateboarding's in the Olympics now. This is like performance, like this is like a athletic performance. Whoever's the strongest, whoever's the better athlete in that sense. It's not just an all-out race, but like you have some strategy, like you try to do the sprint at the beginning. Yes, I think that the sport will grow. I hope so. I want the sport to grow, but there are some hurdles that we need to get over.
Mm-hmm.
You like my ray gun take? Come on, man. I'm not knocking breakdancing.
I thought it was like a one and done. I heard
it is a one and done, but they got it in. Well, that happened with lacrosse. So I played lacrosse. The national sport of Canada is lacrosse, so people know it. It was in 1984 in Los Angeles. It was an exhibition, but it never has been. I think it is now going to be an Olympic sport. It might not be, but from 1984, it's still not an Olympic sport. But it's like soccer and basketball. It's a competitive sport, but it's like when it's on exhibition, that spurred on a lot of youth athletes to then know what it is, and now the sport is much bigger than what it was because it's on the Olympic stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be awesome.
All right, is that it? Any more questions, or are people just going to give me a hard time about RGT? I like RGT. I will always like RGT. It has a good taste in my mouth.
Well, we did touch on who you potentially beefed with, but who was the person you were most excited to see in real life at the event?
Your IRL
bromance from Worlds.
Probably Barney was probably the person I spent the most time with. I was like, I guess meeting the other teammates I had, Dan Turek and Zach. Zach, I already met Zach, but the four of us spent a good amount of time together, which was really nice. But definitely the most time over the week I was there was spent with Barnes. So it was a lot of fun. And the other person actually I really appreciate being there was Teppo, because he was just there to have fun.
Oh yeah,
and it just kind of brought everything down a notch, which I really appreciated.
I kind of feel like I've already hung out with him in real life, even though I've never met him in real life, just because like his streams are so chill. Like when he's like, yeah, man, just chilling. Let's just ride for 4 hours.
So Barney's saying that you cooked him lunch one time, and that you're really good at cooking rice.
Yeah, I bought a rice cooker and.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What kind of rice cooker? Yeah. Oh, I'm hyped on this. You got to tell me the rice cooker. We're going to the weeds now.
I don't even know I don't know what brand it was, but it was like, I just wanted a rice cooker, and it was like, I don't know, $15-$20.
That's it? I got like $100 ones.
Well, at home I do, but I'm saying.
Oh, you bought one there?
I bought one there.
No. You wanted rice that bad, so you bought a rice cooker at the place.
Oh. Yeah, so I could cook it in my hotel. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, so what's your like meal? Like you bring rice and just sort of bland food, or like do you kick it up a notch in spice, or do you not want that in your system when you're going hard?
I tried to kind of watch what we were like eating at this. We went to this sushi restaurant a couple times just because it was like fish and rice, and it was like you could kind of control. Again, breakfast there was like a buffet, and you could kind of pick what you wanted to eat every morning.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Before weighing in, I was really cautious about like the food choices because obviously you don't want too much salt or like overload on like carbs right before you're about to step on a scale. So it's like just kind of being strategic and things like that. And it's hard when you're at a hotel. So the day we had a little grocery store beside, so I went shopping and kind of picked the foods that I knew my body was good with, and yeah, it worked out all right.
So what do you have at home? What's your rice cooker at home?
What do we have?
Everyone's laughing. I don't care. I don't care. This is our show. I like talking about rice cookers.
I don't love the one we had, but I'll tell you why we got it. So it's a green pot rice cooker, and the reason why is because I didn't want one with Teflon. It's actually a ceramic pot.
Oh, okay.
So it's just, I don't know, I think I'm like kind of crunchy like that and don't want like chemicals and crap in my body. So
that's all right. I appreciate that. Then you do Instapot stuff too, or no? Or you do like,
not really.
You just do the rice.
Yeah, I always have rice going. Anyone who's trained with me or been around at team camp, I brought a rice cooker to team camp, and I always had like 4 or 5 cups of rice, like just on keep warm, and I'll just like eat it throughout the day.
Do we just become best friends? Is that the line from Step Brothers? Is that the line from Step Brothers?
So now we want rice cooker pictures on the Discord.
I'll show you mine. I did one I did a stream, and I'm showing because I have a Tiger rice cooker that's like 25. Okay. It's like 30 years old, and it's got one button. It's cook rice and keep warm. It has 2 lights, and it just you open. I have rice right now. Tiger rice cooker. I'm gonna have it right after. I didn't have ice cream like Brian. I'm just eating some ice cream with peanut butter. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? Ice cream and peanut butter?
It's delicious.
I've never heard of that, but it sounds good.
It does sound amazing.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Yeah, it is a new thing. All right, is any more knuckleheads in the chat that want to chime in?
I'll add to the rice cooker thing because I forget what it was. I may have been riding early in the morning, and BK came into my chat or someone else's chat and said, "Yeah, my rice cooker was going off," and woke me up. So
that's right, it did.
It makes so much more sense now.
It beeped and woke because I said it because it has a timer.
24 hours it goes off.
No. I do the rice in the morning or I did at night.
Okay.
Because we have a dog. You just saw the dog. The dog was on stream. She's got she eats bland food, and so I make rice for her, and then I eat the rice that was left over. But I still like rice. But I set it so it cooks at like 5 in the morning, so she'll have fresh rice in the morning. So I do the water in the thing, and then it woke me up one morning. That was because Brian was doing SRC.
Yeah,
you were doing an SRC like two. What's that?
What kind of rice do you? What kind of rice?
I'm in California, so Cal Rose. It's like sushi rice. It's a short grain.
Yeah. For me, it has to be either sushi or Cal Rose. I can't stand. Like
we are new best friends. We are new best friends. Basmati. No, see, my wife likes basmati when we get like Indian food. I don't like jasmine, and jasmine's okay. Basmati is it. I'm Cal Rose. I'm more sushi rice. I like California. I get California Cal Rose rice. Yep.
Yeah, just buy the big bags at Costco.
Totally new best friends. Oh my god, dude! I have that big. Yeah, the big bag. How much is it in North Carolina? Hold on. How much is it in North Carolina? How much is that big bag in North Carolina?
$14.99.
No way, dude! It's like $26 for me. It's $14.99.
So I just to have extra bags, I actually weigh down my trainer with bags of rice.
So
I always have 3 or 4 bags at home at all times.
Dude, that's
Casey
a good
just
idea.
Suggested a new podcast for 2025 called Talking Rice with Tom and BK.
Oh, let's do it. Oh my goodness, I love it. All right, any more rice tips?
No, but see, you learn something every week. Like
Coconut,
2 weeks ago, Brian White's
cocoa aminos than soy sauce. I don't know.
Same here.
Oh god,
dude, we are totally, dude. Yeah, I get Bragg's aminos instead of soy sauce.
That's the one I like. Yeah.
Dude. Oh, this is awesome. This is way better than World Championship talk. Way better.
I know.
Way better, dude.
This is why I like your podcast.
Okay. Oh, dude.
I say you learn something new every week.
Like, oh my goodness.
2 weeks ago, we found out Brian White's got like a PhD in some sports science.
He's like a chemist. He's like a PhD in chemistry, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't even do that. It's like, what?
And then BK is like rice porn guy.
Oh, dude, I love rice cookers. I have a Tiger hot water thing right here. That's how. Well, I do oatmeal. Do you do oatmeal?
Sometimes I'll make oatmeal in the rice cooker as well. Yeah.
Is it called porridge or is it oatmeal? What did you guys grow in Canada? What did you guys grow up with? Oatmeal or porridge?
I
called oatmeal in Canada.
It's okay. Hey, you guys are Commonwealth. I don't know what's going on.
Porridge? What the heck is that?
Dude, that's like biscuits. Biscuits or cookies.
What is porridge?
Porridge is oatmeal, but they just call it porridge and they don't call it they don't call it oatmeal. Whatever. Oh. But you do oatmeal, or do you do rice breakfast or oatmeal breakfast, and then rice is like, this is more cycling fueling. I mean, we can get into the rice stuff, but like,
if I'm gonna like after like a weigh-in, actually specifically on Zwift or something like that, I typically will eat rice before a race, like after like a 2-hour weigh-in. I just know that like I eat so much of it that it's gonna digest quickly and it doesn't make me feel bad. So I'll eat it any time of day. Doesn't really matter, but sometimes you just want to change it up a little bit and oatmeal in the morning.
Right on.
And then a lot of maple syrup as well.
You do maple syrup in the
sometimes
rice?
On rice even as well.
Oh, that's
like
good.
If you want sweet.
I do. Yeah,
or
I do
even
that. I do sugar and cinnamon. I grew up, so before I had Asian friends and my old roommates is Vietnamese, I was like Midwest United States family. So it was like cinnamon and sugar and butter on the rice. But then I got into like savory stuff, which is soy sauce. But they had Maggi, which was amino. It's essentially aminos.
Yeah.
And sriracha. But the maple syrup is good. Coconut sugar is pretty good. I don't know if you ever had coconut sugar is good.
You can get maple sugar too.
Oh, that's maple sugar.
Well, that's a good guy because like real maple sugar is not, super, super sweet. I mean, it's sugar, but yeah, I never thought about putting that on rice. That actually would be pretty good.
And cinnamon. I put a little cinnamon. You can do that too. That's a cinnamon and sugar. Some people like that. It's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but with rice, you can do that. So, that's a good tip.
Yeah, all good stuff. That's like my staple diet.
Amen.
And anyone that's gone to training camp or anything with me will vouch that that's actually how I eat.
Yeah. Well, bringing the rice cooker is also key for training camp. Because you can cook. I cook oatmeal in it, or I cook rice in it. So do both. All right, is that enough? I think we should end on a high note. Rice talk? That's a high note. I want rice right after this. I'm going to go get some right after this.
Kind of got me a hankering for rice. Maybe I'll go make some too.
Yeah.
It's 9:30, so I'm going to go to bed. Or 9:40.
Yeah. Thanks for staying up for so long with us. And then we're
thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Ending the show with rice talk. All right, rice tips.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks
it, Tom.
for having me, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to play the music. There's no music on the show, but we say play the music. Thanks again to Tom Thrall. And see you guys next time. Bye.
See you guys.